you two options, but I can all three options.
Right.
One is we take the first crowd, we meet for an hour and a half at 7:45, they leave, we bring in the folks that did not get to have a seat at the first time, and then at 7:45 we do the next round. Another option is you can join us tomorrow night in Vero Beach, or you can always submit your comments in writing. So, for those of you who do not have a seat, you can try to finagle one of the few open seats that are left, or we're going to ask you to come back at 7:45.
You'll be answering the same.
The aisles school told us, so I'm trying to make best accommodation for what we have. We have 458 seats, and we have more than 458 folks. So that's where we are. So for those of you who
I'm just glad they didn't notify all the landowners that these meetings were taking place.
I'm going to ask you to either
It'd be even more crowded
tomorrow or to come back at 7:45.
Come back.
Because probably at 7:45 we're going to kick out the people who have the seats, and then we'll go back and do the presentation again at 7:45.
Kick me out of a public meeting. I've got to see this. I have got to see this. Get the lawyer on the phone.
Hi everybody. My name is Elizabeth Salheber. I'm with the Fish and Wildlife Service, and we're so pleased that you guys came out in great numbers tonight. We are very pleased. But we have a problem. We want your safety, and we want to ensure that at any public meeting. So we have a responsibility to Okeechobee High School and the community here. And we just cannot do this any other way that serves you best, and we're troubleshooting as we go. We think we need to divide the group up for those that have made the effort. And I'm sorry, we did not accommodate the stadium. We did not get that secured. So what we have is what we have tonight, and we'll regroup and think about what we can do to even extend this. But tonight, we think the best solution for those of you that have made the effort to come out is to divide up our time. So what we want to do is take the folks that already have seats, give a presentation for an hour and a half, as much as we can take in public comment, and then ask you to give the others that are standing in the aisles and out the door the opportunity to come in and speak.
That doesn't give us 3 hours.
So I would like for y'all to please work with us to make this safe for everybody. You know, we're... So at this point, yes, sir.
Basically, we're going to meet in half. We're going to cram all this information or something. Not going to be time for questions. We just laugh after it out.
Well, sir, the thing is that we don't have any options in front of us tonight. Yes, sir, we were sorry we did not accommodate for enough people tonight. And, sir, if there is, we will have to adjust. Okay. And that's...
Go back to Washington.
I'm Professor Manager.
I think we've all seen the presentation.
Well, sorry, sir, I can apologize to everybody in the room. We greatly underestimated the numbers. I know. We did.
We'll stay to 11.
Yes, sir. Right, and so, let me say this, guys, one more time, because we've got to have an orderly assembly, and it has to be safe. I have a responsibility here for all of you. So what we're going to do is an hour and a half, and we will consider options of having another meeting, possibly next week. We are on the fly talking about some of these things here right now. So that's the best I can do, but at this point in time, we have to make a call, and I'm going to have to make a call that we're going to do an hour and a half for those that have made the effort to come out, and we'll break off. And if we go any longer, it's 6:20 right now, we're going to lose time, because we got to be out of here at 9:30. So that's our commitment to the high school. So at this time, I'm going to ask all those that don't have seats to please come back at 7:50. It's 6:20. Please come back at 7:50. We'll do a short presentation, and then we'll take your comments at that time.
We really appreciate you working with us. Thank you very much.
They're not going to. This is not good.
No. They're going to make us watch an hour and a half presentation and another 20 minutes of us
We have
promos.
one open seat in the front row. If anyone wants to take it. Okay, it's taken. This gentleman right here is taking it.
Okay.
Okay, there's one seat over here if someone would like to stay. All right, we really appreciate everyone working with us. There's one seat over here in the second row. If someone else would like to, this gentleman right here is taking it.
I'm retired Air Force, okay?
And if you have speaker cards, make sure to try to raise your hand on your card and someone will come around and pick it up.
You don't
They
want
collected
to.
the cards.
There's one more seat
They
over
collected
here
the
in
cards. None of us have any cards.
Right.
What does that mean?
There's two more seats in the very front row. If someone would like, okay, I got one right here taking one of the seats in the front row. So there's one more seat in the front row. Someone would like to try and sit down.
Any chance of voting on presentation versus going straight to comments?
This is a public meeting.
No. Short presentation and then we're going to do something.
I just have a feeling probably 90% of us have though.
Okay.
There is.
There's two seats up here. One seat. One here. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you who don't have seats, please join us at 7:50 and we'll do it all over again. And for those of you who are here at 7:50, we invite for you to exit. And when the rest of those come in, if there are open seats and you want to come back after that point, then please feel free to join us.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this turnout. Needless to say, it's more than we expected and anticipated. My name is Charlie Palizzo. With the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, I'm the Refuge Manager for the Pelican Island National Wildlife Refuge. I am also a resident here in Florida, spending my time between Wellington and Vero Beach. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to do some background information on why we're here for this meeting, give you a little bit of background on the project proposal, which is all it is at this point. We're going to quickly move through that and get to the question and answer period and comment period. Can you hear me back there?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit louder, Charlie?
Okay, how's that? Better?
Right now. Some of the last people out.
Oh, ow.
Okay, so just so that we're clear.
That wasn't well worded. It's not well worded.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Sherry, we have one seat in the front. One seat over here.
Shoving the rest of the...
Sherry, we have one more seat up front.
There's two here.
And there's two more. Okay, while we're doing the chair shuffle, I want to make sure that everybody understands the reason why we're here tonight. One is to provide you with some background information on this proposal that has been publicized and we've announced public scoping, which is what we're doing here tonight. We're also going to talk a little bit about the planning process. There's a process that we have to follow as a federal agency to go through and make a proposal. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And also for the folks that are have interest or concern in the land acquisition process, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Mostly, though, we're here to listen to what you have to say, your comments, your concerns, your suggestions. And we're going to do our best at the very end to go on and respond to those. I'd like to turn this back over to, where'd Sherry go?
Kicking people out.
Okay,
Shoving
so
people out.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the ground rules that we have here, and basically, hopefully we're here to learn and listen and respect each other. That we give everybody the opportunity when the time comes for the comment period, that we listen intently to what they have to say. I know that I'm going to be doing that. We also, especially because we have such a large crowd, we want to make sure that we are on our best behavior so that everybody is safe here tonight. This is just an amazing crowd of people, and I know there's some other people out in the lobby as well. Okay, so this is really great. We're doing real good right now as far as being quiet.
We can't hear you!
There you go.
Okay, here comes my facilitator.
You
Sherry.
disrupted the crowd.
Oh, did we already go through part of mine? Okay, meeting ground rules. We're all here, and we're here to, there's lots of people, so we need to make sure that we kind of try to stay on time, especially given that we just committed to all the rest of the people that will be out by 7:50. So we went over the other ones, and I just want to reiterate, we want to make sure that we all work together to make sure we maintain an atmosphere where everyone feels comfortable and welcome, so that they can submit their comments, and that we can all do so equally. Also, I'd like you to put your phones on vibrate. I understand that you might need to get calls when have family issues. That's fine. If you need to take a call, please take it outside so that we don't disturb anybody. Also, if you would like to have sidebar conversations, that's fine. I need you to take that outside as well. A little tired from running around outside. Let's see, what else? I have sidebar conversations, phones, all that. So let me think. For those of you who met with us before, you know the drill. We're going to call your names. Granted, some of those people are probably outside, so we'll go through them quickly. Every speaker gets 2 minutes. Anybody who harasses the time person, you need to harass me. So you're going to hold these cards up, and you'll have your 2 minutes. If you'd like to have more comments, you can submit them in writing, by fax, by email. Thank you for your comments, sir. There is also a comment table that we've set up outside, so if you don't feel comfortable standing up in front of everybody and commenting, you can go outside and submit your comments that way as well. And as I said, you can email, fax, you can call us, and if you have any questions, let us know after the meeting. And away we go. I think that's it.
Okay. For the folks that don't know the organization that I represent, I am a member of the National Wildlife Refuge System. I represent the U.S. National Wildlife Refuge System. The first National Wildlife Refuge was established back in 1903 by President Theodore Roosevelt. It was established in Indian River Lagoon, and it was because of the plume trade, and the hunters were taking herons, egrets, pelicans for the feathers that they had that were adorning ladies' hats. Since that time in 1903, there's been about 553 other national wildlife refuges that have been established nationwide. About 150 million acres all total. It all started back in Indian River County here in Florida. And we do have lots of visitation at our national wildlife refuges, totaling well over 40 million visitors a year. When refuges were established, they were established primarily to begin with along migratory corridors for waterfowl and shorebirds, and you'll see them focused on the Atlantic coast, the west coast, the Mississippi River. And that's where a lot of our refuges were established. However, if you look here in Central Florida, there's areas in the state that we've recognized that do not have national wildlife refuges, and that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight. Back in 1997, the United States Congress gave us a mission to go on and work towards. And basically what they said is that you as a federal agency, your mission is to work for wildlife. Wildlife comes first on your national wildlife refuges. You also have the capacity to entertain recreation. But in order for that recreation to occur on the refuge, it has to be compatible for the reasons why the refuge was established. That said, there's a series of public uses that are priority public uses, that if we have the capacity to allow them to occur on the refuge, that these are the ones that get priority over and above any others. We also have to manage as a system. So we don't have 553 independent national wildlife refuges. We manage them according to a series of rules and policies that we talk and cooperate with each other as well. And hopefully, the reason that has brought you here tonight and the reason why we are here with this proposal is that we are concerned with the future of our wildlife and our wildlands for not only ourselves but our future generations. We all might have a different perspective on what we want for our future generations. It might be that you're interested in making sure that there's areas where our grandchildren can airboat or hunt or fish, or if you're a rancher, that they'll have the opportunity to go on and maintain the livelihood in the ranching community. Or maybe like the folks here from the River Ranch community, that they in a couple of generations will have the capacity to be there as well. I hope that's what is here and is what is binding us and bringing us here in such great numbers, that we're interested in preserving that habitat and making sure that the things that we enjoy today are here for our generations. So what are those public uses that National Wildlife Refuges are all about? The traditions that we have on National Wildlife Refuges, we were built on hunting and fishing. For those of you that hunt waterfowl, each year we're required to go on and purchase a migratory bird stamp. The proceeds from those stamps go on and purchase lands for National Wildlife Refuges, for wildlife habitat. A very strong tradition with that. We're also very in tune with bringing the message of wildlife conservation to the general public and our school children, so we're really involved with environmental education opportunities, as well as interpretation and providing opportunities for photography as well. So what is the specific proposal that we're talking about? There's a distinction here that I want to make. There's two parts of the proposal. One is a National Wildlife Refuge and one is a conservation area. When we talk about a National Wildlife Refuge, we're talking about fee title lands that we're hoping to potentially purchase in the future from willing sellers. This is an area where we have the opportunity for having our visitor service facilities, our hunting programs, our fishing areas, those type of things. It's where we own the title of the land and fee title. The conservation area, however, is an area where we're only purchasing certain aspects of the interest in that land. So for the ranching community, it's basically what we're interested in is making sure that that habitat stays in place in perpetuity, but it allows the ranching community to stay in place. So all we're looking at is purchasing development rights, so that in the future, for those future generations, we're still looking at a vibrant, healthy ranching community out there on the landscape. And with that, all of the rights and responsibilities that go along with management stay with the landowner. So why establish a refuge here? We're talking about a large landscape, a study area that runs all the way from Orlando down to Lake Okeechobee, over to Lake Wales Ridge, and basically over to the Florida's Turnpike. Large landscape that we're looking at as a study area. The reason why we're there is because we saw in that area that we recognized that that habitat there provides the very upper boundaries of the watershed of the Everglades. So that anything we do here is going to benefit the millions of people that live in South Florida by providing increased water quality, quantity, and water storage north of Lake Okeechobee. So that any of the water that's reaching Lake Okeechobee and is being passed on down to the existing and the current restoration programs, they're that much more able to carry on their mission down there. There's a host of endangered species in this habitat that approximately 88 species of threatened and endangered species and species of environmental concern that are found throughout the habitat, the resources, and that's what we're interested in protecting as part of our mission as a National Wildlife Refuge System. We're also concerned about climate change. We know that there's impacts being felt on our coastal environments, and we're concerned that if it displaces the populations on the coastal environments, that the wildlife will have places to go on and persist in this center part of the state. We have a great amount of conservation lands currently in this landscape, but there's also some gaps in between. And we feel as though the refuge system has a place to play, and that we can connect some of those landscapes for things like Florida black bear that roam over wide parts of the landscape. We're also very interested in providing recreational opportunities for the general public, specifically hunting and fishing opportunities and environmental education opportunities. But really what drove this entire idea about working in this landscape was the ranching community and the stewardship that they have provided over the past decades and centuries here in Central Florida. And it's because of their stewardship that we're able to talk about conservation of these landscapes today. So how do we arrive at this proposal? We basically looked at all the things that I just mentioned, the endangered species, the connectivity, and we plotted them on a map. And we found that there was a couple of areas of high concentration, high resource values. And we drew these big, broad areas that you see in front of you. This map that you see here is basically just a study area. It's an area that we're interested in, but we don't know much more than that. We want to meet with the public, find out what their interests are, what their concerns are, and take a more concerted look at what we have available to us. We received permission from our Washington office to go public, and that's why we are here today. So what is this proposal? This landscape here depicted on this map is about 1.7 million acres in size. That's not what we're talking about as a National Wildlife Refuge. Within that landscape, we think there's opportunities for the establishment of a 50,000-acre National Wildlife Refuge, deep tidal land, that will be able to bring the public out for hunting opportunities, environmental education. But we'll talk about hunting in a minute. We also have about 100,000 acres of conservation easements that we've targeted as well. Okay, we did this in partnership with our other land management agencies, the Fish and Wildlife Commission, South Florida Water Management District, some of our organizations like South Nature Conservancy. And this has raised some questions, and this is one of them. Does the partnership mean that the service will control partner lands? No, basically all it means is that we're just a partner. Any lands that the other agencies control and manage, that management stays with that landscape. We're having no authority or management control over those lands. If it's private lands, the private landowner controls and maintains the management of those lands. This is just an example of some of the people that have been participating in the discussions about the conservation of lands in this area. Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to Laura Hausch and talk a little bit about...
Thank you, Charlie. I'm going to be really quick. I know y'all are anxious to get your comments in, so I'm going to try to keep my presentation down to the 2 minutes. Good. Okay, there's two parts to this kind of planning effort. There's preliminary planning and there's detailed planning. Preliminary planning is when we develop the concept and the idea. This goes to our Washington. It's an internal document that goes to Washington. Once it's signed off by our director, then we can start our detailed planning. Okay, our preliminary plan was approved in August of 2010. So here we are now. We're at the public comment stage. Once our preliminary plan is approved, that means we can start our detailed planning and we can come to you, the public, and get your comments and ideas. After the public comments, this is going on through February, we'll start drafting a land protection plan. This will be done in around June 2011, and by September we hope to submit a final land protection plan. After the land protection plan is finalized, we'll have another public meeting, and while it's still in draft, we'll have another public meeting so you all can have another opportunity to give your comments. So what is the land protection plan? It outlines the resource protection needs. It identifies the level of protection needed as well as acquisition alternatives, and identifies proposed public uses, which Charlie talked a little bit about earlier.
Very little.
All of our planning efforts are subject to NEPA, which is the National Environmental Policy Act. We all go through the NEPA process. The NEPA process allows us to assess environmental impact. It allows us to get the public involved in the process, and we also can evaluate alternatives. So I'm going to turn it over to Betty Gooch. I hope that was under 2 minutes, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about the realty overview. Thank you, Laura. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The points I want to make here, just take a few minutes so that we'll have more time for you. Thank you. So that we'll have more time for you. The main point of land acquisition is that we acquire property from willing sellers only. If you don't want to sell your property, whether it's inside the boundary when it's established, different when it's established, that's entirely up to you.
Exactly. What happens to the properties around us?
Do we want to say that for?
Let's take your comments and questions when we get
I'll be happy to answer your questions for you, whether it's, okay, whether it's not in this forum here or if you want to meet with me after this segment, I'll be happy to meet with you out there and answer your questions specifically. I have no problem with that. Betty.
I want to hear it all.
Betty Gooch, G-O-U-G-E. Hannah, G-O-U-G-E. It's like gouge.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay. We acquire property only within the approved acquisition boundaries, like I said, from willing sellers. We buy fee title land, and it can be acquired through conservation easement, which I will be happy to answer questions about that also later. Limited to certain types of uses, the conservation easements are prevents development in perpetuity while the land remains in private ownership. It's individually tailored to meet a landowner's needs while fulfilling specific needs for the habitat. The land remains in its natural state. The private landowner retains ownership, and it meets the needs of both the service and the landowner. The acquisition process is to identify willing sellers, obtain their permission to appraise, and then prepare them a written offer on the fair market value of the property. The potential funding sources are Land and Water Conservation Fund, Migratory Bird Conservation Fund, North American Wetlands Conservation Fund. How do we compensate counties in lieu of taxes? It's true, the federal government does not pay taxes. However, we do make revenue sharing payments to the counties that we acquire. In the rural areas, revenue sharing payments can sometimes exceed the previous tax payment. The revenue sharing act requires that payments to counties be based on the greatest of. Let's read those three there. We'll move on. So, in the interest of time,
the economy is losing money.
Assessments are made on the property every 5 years. So it's not, once we have ownership of the property, it's not appraised, and that is the payment forever. It's reappraised every 5 years to ensure that it's keeping up with the fair market value of the appraisal, and we do pay the taxes as you saw in the previous slide there. Where does the money come from? The income to the service received, net income to the service received from products or privileges like timber sales, grazing fees, right-of-way permits, are deposited in the Wildlife Refuge Fund for the revenue sharing payments. And Congress is authorized to appropriate money to make up the difference if there's not a law.
They're broke.
Thank you. And I will be happy to answer questions after for you about land acquisition.